Everyone, welcome to our webinar. I'm thrilled that you're joining us for this hour on digital transactions. I'm Beth O'Connor. I know many of you have we've met in the classroom. Some of you may be new members, and welcome, and I really am thrilled to show you this program. We only have an hour, so it is going to go quickly, but I'm going to show you places where you can get more resources if something I cover today isn't enough. This is also being recorded, very important. So I think if you just sit back, don't worry so much about taking notes or even following along with me. Let me cover all of this. And then when you have the recording, maybe you can even run it on your tablet while you're following along on your computer. I think you'll get a lot out of that. But I really want today, I want you to get the concepts. I want you to get why this is important, not so much the individual step by step. Okay, so my email address is on this slide, boconnor@lirealtor.com. And stay tuned to the end. I have a challenge for each of you to practice this, what I'm going to show you today. And there will be one winner if whoever submits the challenge successfully is going to win a private tutoring session with me. So stay tuned. I'll announce all that information at the very end. All right. So here's our 5 essentials we're going to cover today. I'm going to talk about accessing, of course, and simplifying your account. Way too many people have jumped into Instanet, gotten themselves so confused, don't know where they are. It's a mess, and they just can't seem to get rolling with it. I think if you take this first step, it's going to be what really makes the difference for you. We're going to set up templates so that all the forms you need are in one place each time. We're going to create a transaction folder for every deal that you do. I'm going to show you digital signings. And finally, I'm going to bring up my phone and show you the key thing about this is that you can access everything you're doing on your computer, also on your mobile devices. So that's what we're going to do in this hour. I will stop periodically for questions, but generally with this particular class, we get hundreds of questions, and I try to focus in on just what I think maybe I haven't covered, or what I won't be covering, or I'll show you where the help is. So I appreciate your patience with that. So I have a couple of slides here that I want to show you. So the first one is what your desk or even your computer might look like if you're not terribly organized. Now, I'm blessed with being a fairly organized person. You know, I have lots of other things I'm not, but organized I'm fairly good at. So that's why I'm such a huge fan of Instanet. But if you have trouble getting organized, this is going to take you a little bit longer. But if you put in the time, you're going to be more organized once you're finished completing the process. So what we want to avoid is these papers and forms for all these different deals you're working on. You're the listing agent here, you're the seller's agent, buyer's agent on this side, and forms and things are all over the place. Not only on your desk do we want to get organized, but also on your computer. We want to organize all of these papers. And the key thing for doing that is to create folders. Okay, they call them transactions. I'm going to call them transaction folders, because I think that the concept for all of you, you know what I'm talking about when I say create a folder for your deal. You all do this. You take a manila folder and you write the address on it, and you put everything inside that folder that has to do with that deal, maybe even some handwritten notes and things. This is what we want to get into Instanet, into the cloud, so that it's accessible wherever you go. I know what happens with these. You throw them in the trunk of your car, you throw them in your briefcase. That was probably back in the old days. Right now, they're probably all on your desk, your home office, if you have one, or your dining room table, if you don't have a home office. And if you're not in that location and you need something that's in this folder, you're really stuck. So what we want to do is get all of this that's in the folder for your deal available to you from every device you own. When you're out in the car, you can pull over and get it on your phone. When you're traveling, all you need is somebody to sit down in a cafe and access it from a public computer. Anything you can do that you put in the cloud will be accessible from wherever you go. All right. So I know that some of you are doing this for the first time, and some of you are doing this with me for probably the 8th, 9th, or 10th time, right? We've had Instanet since 2008, and some of you just can't get that going. So I'm hoping today will be the day you really get started. And 2021, consumers are asking for this. They want this. I sold my home in 2019, and the realtor, fantastic. He sold it in one day. He was amazing. And he said, I will drop off all the papers in your mailbox for you to sign. And I said, no, no, why can't we do this digital? Surely you must use Instanet. And luckily he said, oh, of course, that's fine. He forgot, I guess, for me, that would be really key. But you're going to have people say, why can't I sign this digitally? Why are you faxing, emailing me things that I have to figure out a way to scan and fax back to you? So your consumers are going to demand this. All right. Now, this is our challenge for later, so I will bring that up in just a little bit. But if you want to take a photo of this right now, if you can't stay with me all the way until 1 o'clock, then this is going to be your challenge, and all of the details you need are here. Okay. So I'm going to stop the share now and bring up Stratus. Okay, so of course you're going to access Instanet from Stratus. Now, if you have an iPhone, later on I'll show you where you can put the app on. And if you are Android, if you're an Android user, I will show you how to put this on your phone. Okay, so stay with me after 1 o'clock if you have an Android device, and I'll show you how to do that. All right, but you need to go through Stratus for Instanet. They need to know that you are currently a LIBOR member in an MLS office, a one key MLS office. That's the only way you can access this, okay? And consumers are not able to access this, only realtors. So I'm going to click on the Instanet link right on the info center of Stratus. Now, the first time you do this, it'll probably ask you to accept their terms and conditions and those kinds of things. So just go through that process, but ultimately you'll be brought to your agent dashboard. Okay. If you're a broker owner, you're going to have an icon here that allows you to switch over to what's called a broker dashboard. I'm not going to cover that today, but it's important for you to know that. The broker dashboard allows the broker to view the agent's transaction folders, which of course they are perfectly permitted to have access to all of that. So if a broker wants to make sure, the manager wants to make sure all the proper forms are being signed by each agent, this is a great way to keep an eye on that. Okay. Now we're going to look at settings in a bit. I'll open up this side menu just by clicking on the 3 lines here. We're going to look at settings in a minute, but also I want to point out in this menu is the help section. Okay. All the videos, tutorials, guides, webinars, all of that is here. They do their own support. This is their phone number. They're in Canada. Your MLS One Key customer service department does not support Instanet. Okay, so just reach out to them directly. This is a company, as I said, in Canada, and they have a lot of MLS accounts. Their support is really tremendous too. So make sure you use this if something I show you today you need additional help on. All right. So what I want to do first is show you how you can, oh, I'm sorry about that. I want to go back. So the dashboard, the agent dashboard is this speedometer icon. Okay, that's always going to take you back to your home page. But I have a problem with the way this is set up, and I think it's confusing you. It's just too much. Really, the most important thing is that you just have all of these transaction folders. These are the folders I was showing you for each one of your deals, right? I put the address and I say whether it was a sale or a listing, right? Something like that. If I was the buyer's agent or I was the listing agent, each one has its own folder here. Okay. The rest of it is really things that are inside of these folders, and it just causes confusion. Honestly, if you look at this menu on the left side, the only things I use is dashboard and then my list of transactions. Everything, these are your transactions you saw on that home screen. all of the rest of it is inside of a transaction folder. So you never want to go separately to those things. You want to get in the folder first. So let me show you how I would clean this up. I want to get rid of this box, and I want to get rid of this box, and I want to get rid of this signing box. Okay. So I'm going to unlock, I'm going to use the lock here. I'm going to unlock the dashboard. That gives me these X's. Do you see the X here? I can remove that and remove. It's not removing what's inside of them. It's just removing the shortcut that's confusing me. Right? So this is the key thing that I want. I can stretch it wider if I wanted to fill up the page. And I also wanted to get rid of this signing. Okay, so the only thing I'm left with here to keep things simple is folders and creating a new folder. Okay, that I think is going to be the key to staying organized here. All right, so I'm going to lock this back up. The locking just makes it so that I can't by mistake delete something or move something or whatever. So that's the one simplification I would recommend. Now, the second thing we're going to do before we set up a folder is we're going to create a template. So think about when you set up a folder for a listing, you're going on a listing presentation, you probably slip all of the MLS forms you need into this folder, blank ones, right? The listing agreement, the property data section, the lead paint, the agency disclosure, now the fair housing, all of those forms go in and go with you, right? So we're going to create a package of those forms when you're the listing agent. And that way you won't have to do that separately each time. So we're going to go to the 3 gears on the left menu. I'll open it up again. It's called settings, 3 gears here. Okay. So in settings, and this is something you should come in and spend some time on when you have more time. Your settings, always look through one by one all of the options for any software that you're using. But I'm going to go to the transaction templates right here. Now, I already have a template with everything I need when I'm a buyer's agent. Okay, all of the forms. So what I want to create now is a new one for when I'm the listing agent, all the forms I need. So I'll click the plus sign. That would allow me to create. Always look for that plus sign to start something new. And I'm going to call this the residential, and you can do it for all the forms, listing forms. Okay, and the type, I will call it a residential listing. And I can have everything I need, right, as a listing agent. Okay, and I'll click save. So now it's created and I have to put things in it. Now they allow you to put other things like checklists. Maybe you have a checklist of what you do every time you take a listing, and step by step, you're very methodical that way. You can create your own checklists. You can put contacts in right now if you want, but we'll skip that. But what's key is the documents. So let me click on documents and folders, and there's nothing in there now. I'm sorry, we're going to go to forms. Excuse me. Documents would be the non-forms. Forms is your MLS form. So I'm going to click the plus sign, and I'm going to go to the one key MLS forms. Now, many of you work in companies that have a 4th option here with your company forms. So it might be the listing agreement, but it's got your company logo on it. So they've worked with Instanet to get your own company forms on there. But if not, just go to one key MLS, and here's all the forms. Okay. Now, the one thing that's not here yet is the new property data forms for the new fields in Stratus, but you can pull those off of Stratus. So they're available. Hopefully we'll get that soon. So I need agency disclosure. I need lead paint for sales. I pretty much take everything, even if I don't use it, everything that I might need, right? Binder, hopefully. Coming soon, just in case. And then we have our exclusive right to sell agreement. There's 8.5 by 14 size and 8.5 by 11 on 3 pages. Most of you, that's the paper you have at home. So I'll select that one. You definitely need extension, possibly fair housing. If these forms don't mean anything to you, go over this with your manager. Okay. So I'm just going to pretty much take everything let's see, residential property data section. This stratus upload right now is not working, okay? But you can still use this form. It's not a legal form, okay? The changes and should they have to withdraw. Okay, so I took a total of 16 forms. You can always add more if you forget one. So I'm going to click on add. And now those forms are all in this particular template. Okay, I'll close that up. We'll go back to our list of templates. And we'll now see the two templates I've created, the buyer's agent and then my listings form, listing forms, okay? Now you'll see how powerful this is now when we go and create an actual transaction folder, all right? I'm gonna just take a quick look at questions. Let's see if, I don't see anything just yet, okay. All righty, so good. I'm glad you're following along. So now I'm going to go back to my homepage, the dashboard, the agent dashboard, and I'm going to create a new folder for a new listing. I'm going to be a listing agent. I'm going to do the listing presentation for a property in Levittown. So I'm going to, before I even go, I'm going to create that folder. Okay, click on create transaction. I generally put the address in here, but you could certainly put the seller's name. I'm going to do my house where my husband grew up in Levittown. And this is a listing. Okay. Now right here is where I can choose the template, the listing forms. So that's really going to save me time. Now, when I do that, then I also have the option to import the data. If 56 Shelter Lane was on the market last year and I know the ML number, I could kind of autofill some things in there by selecting Long Island MLS and putting the MLS number in here. However, if you leave this alone, don't go back, you don't have an ML number, and you by mistake put this, when you try to create, watch what happens. See, it says this field is required. So if that happens to you, just click on the Long Island MLS and deselect it by clicking on select source. Okay. And I am going to be the listing agent and I'm going to use the step-by-step wizard. I'm going to click create. If you joined us late, I know that I'm going through this very quickly. It is being recorded. It will be posted on the LI Realtor COVID page by Friday, most likely, also on LIBOR's YouTube channel. So you'll have access and you can always email me if you can't find the recording and I'll send it to you directly, okay? So now we're setting up this folder, okay? Now, some things you don't have yet for the folder, right? You don't have any buyer qualifications. You don't have any offers yet. You don't have much, but you're at least going to establish the place for those things to go, the folder, right? I'm looking at myself in this instead of looking at you. There you are. Okay, so we're going to set up this folder and you don't have to fill in everything. So we're just going to put in, it is a residential listing. I'm just going to put in a couple of things. I'm going to put in the 56 Shelter Lane and Levittown, Nassau, New York, 11756. The rest can go in later. You can come back at any time and add more things. Some agents just don't use all of these fields. But you could put in the price once you establish a price. Then if some mortgage data, it just gives you, these are optional. Nothing is required here. Okay. Now you don't want to exit because that will completely finish the folder and we're not done yet. We've only done step one. So the key thing is to go next, right? Now, if you get lost, the wizard, all the elements of the wizard are right here. We're on step one now, details. So for some reason I got out of this by hitting save and exit. I can come back by just clicking on details, contacts, forms, signings, documents. Okay, those things are the elements that you create. All right, so no worries. If you lose this, the wizard menu on the right side will help you. So I'll click next. And this is where you'd put in the transaction dates once you get the listing. So perhaps you do get the listing, today's the 6th, right? And you can put in other things, expiration date. And then as the offers come in and you want to track all of that here, you can do that. Okay, but I'll just go to next. Now, these are the contacts. These are the people involved in this deal, right? So automatically it knows I'm involved because I'm in my account and I work for multiple listing service, right? This should actually say one key, but we haven't been able to change that yet. Yours is going to have your name and your company name here. Okay. But I also want to put in the sellers and anybody else that comes along through this. You know how you do that? You open up the first, page of your, and you write down all the phone numbers of everybody involved, right? Cell phone numbers and all of that. No more. Now we're going to put it right into this online transaction folder. All right. So we're going to first add the 2 sellers. We're going to add a new transaction contact. If you use Google, Gmail, and whatever, that you can add them from there. You can add yourself if you, for some reason, are not. You can add someone who's already in your contacts, but we'll just create a new transaction contact. And the first one we're going to put in is the seller, and it's going to be Mary. Her last name is Seller. And if you want to do any digital documents, you have to put an email address in. Okay. Now, because Mary is a fictitious person, I'm making her up. I'm going to put my own email in there. Okay. And you can do that if you don't know her email, right? So just so you have something in there. All right. But I'm sure you all realize what I would do is normally put Mary Seller's email in there. Okay. I'm going to click Save Mary. And then I'm going to add the other, her spouse. He's also a seller, and his name is Joe Seller. I would also put Joe's email here, but he's not a real person, so, okay. Now I'm going to recommend what I'm doing right now. I'm creating a fictitious transaction folder. Please do this for your own house. That's a great way to practice. Go through the entire process. Pretend as though you're putting your house on the market and that you're going to sign all your documents digitally. Okay. You'll really feel more comfortable if you try it out with practice first. All right. So that's what I recommend. Now, the last person I'm going to put in is their attorney. And their attorney selling lawyer is going to be Denise, lawyer. And if we wanted to put in Denise's email address, we could. She can get copies of documents or whatever. I'll put mine in. Okay, so you can continue adding to the contacts. Once they get an appraisal, you can put the appraiser's name in there. Once they get an inspection, put the inspection. Once you get an offer, you're going to put the buyer's agent's name in here, the buyer's names, and contact anything you need. You continue adding to this folder, okay? Just like you normally would with a paper folder. But for now, this is a good start. Let's go to step 4. I'm going to click next. Now, all of the forms are already here. That happened because of the template. Remember when I first created it, all of the forms I needed, I put the template, I attached that template to 56 Shelter Lane when I created it. So that's what puts all these forms in. Now the forms are blank, they're empty. It may autofill the address and the seller's name at some points, but you're going to have to fill them all in. The blank forms are here. Okay. And we're going to do, we're going to have 2 forms signed. We're going to have them sign the agency disclosure and the new fair housing disclosure agreement. Okay. But before we do that, I want to show you step 5 of this. We'll come back to forms. I'm going to go to next step. Now this documents is really powerful. This is where anything that's not a form that you would normally put in your folder, you would put here. So for example, here's my handwritten walkthrough notes. Okay. I scan this with my phone. If you don't have a phone app, a scanner app for your phone, just take a picture and then I can upload it here. So watch how I do that. So I go to add. I already did this. and I go to either drag and drop or click to upload here. There's a lot of options for adding documents. You can add from Dropbox, Google Drive, OneDrive, any of those. There's a special email address you can use, but the easiest thing is, of course, when it's already in your, the document is already on your computer. So I'm going to click here. And one of the documents is right on the desktop, and it's those handwritten notes. Let's see. Beth, you should have been a little more organized here. See, this is where I bragged about being an organized person, and I did this. I did handwritten notes. I might have put it, did I put it? So here's other things that we can add. The appraisal, my company's COVID form, my company legal form, right? Anything that's company related that MLS doesn't provide for you, you would put in here with the documents, okay? So I know what happened. I scanned that and I emailed it to myself, these notes, and then I didn't upload it to my computer, but I think you get the idea. It would show up right here, okay? So I'm gonna click open. It'll load these. It's unlimited, the amount of forms, documents you can put in here, and it can be even the photos. Maybe I'm going to add all of the property photos for this. I have a Levittown. Where's my Levittown property photos? There it is. So I'm going to just select all these photos and put these also. So it can be PDFs, it can be Word docs, it can be Excel, it can be JPEGs, any type of document can go into your documents folder, and they each go in separately. Okay. All right. So we're done. We're actually done setting up that folder, right? That didn't take long. Did I even spend more than 10 minutes setting this up? I don't think so. So this part of the process is really not that difficult. So I'm going to click done. And this is confusing, I'm going to tell you right now. So do you see the word dashboard here? Remember that this home screen also was called a dashboard. This was my agent dashboard, but then the transaction has its own dashboard, right? Here's 56 Shelter Lane. It shows up here right on my agent dashboard. So when I open this, I'm now in the transaction dashboard. That confuses me. I don't know about you, but one thing I do find helpful is to put a photo of the listing on here, and then that helps me kind of say, oh, right. No, that's not it. This is it, right? So if you put the front photo there, you kind of know you're just in that one dashboard for this one property, okay? So anytime you need to do something regarding this deal that you're working on, anything, adding a form, filling out a form, getting a signing, calling someone, adding someone's phone number, you're going to come back to the dashboard. It's just simply opening this folder. That's it. All right. So what we want to do next is fill out those two forms that we're going to have them sign digitally. Okay. So you can rearrange these things if you don't want all of these, just like you did with the home screen if you click the lock, but everybody's here. Joe Seller, Mary Seller, I can add new contacts by clicking on plus, right? Once I start signings, I can either start a signing from here, or I can click the plus to start a new signing. Whenever you start a signing, always make sure you're in the deal folder. You're inside of the deal folder. Don't start a loose signing, a random signing outside of your folder. You'll just never be able to keep track of things. Okay. So the forms we want to have them sign are, we're going to do first we'll do the fair housing disclosure. And then we're going to do lead paint. They're both down here on the bottom. Hang on, let me just move this out of the way. And we'll move this down. Okay, so first I'm going to do, I thought I saw it, agency disclosure. It's my fair housing disclosure. I see the fair housing form, fair housing notice. I may have forgotten it. Here's our agency disclosure. I'll show you how to add a form if you forgot it. Okay, so this looks familiar, right? So you have to fill it out first. You type in whatever is normal for your, however you've worked it out with your brokerage. Make sure you understand everything you're checking here. Don't randomly check things. And if there's a dual agency situation, you fill that out. And then you put in Mary and Joe Seller. You can put them separate if you want. You can have Mary Seller sign here, and then Joe Seller sign here, and then your buyers would sign on this side. You can't type in on the date. Okay, so there's a lot of things you can do with these forms using this menu up here at the top, but essentially once it's filled out, if you click save and exit, it's going to be ready to sign. Okay, so I'm going to save and exit. They just added that recently. You used to have to go to file, save and exit, and nobody could find it. So that form is filled out, the agency disclosure. So the next one I need is fair housing. And let me just make sure I see the notice, but I don't think that's the one that they sign. Let's just double check. No, this is just notification of their rights. So I took the wrong form. So I'm going to go back to, I'm going to save and exit. And I'm going to see if it's in the MLS forms. I'm going to click the plus sign. And what I'm looking for is the fair housing disclosure. Fair housing notice. Is it possible it's not there? Wow. All right. Well, we'll find out why it's not there, but you can certainly get it from LI Realtor Documents on Demand, the fair housing disclosure form. Okay. But I will ask what's going on with that and why it's not there. Okay. So we're going to just have them sign then the agency disclosure form. Okay, we'll just do that one. So you could also have them do the lead paint, any other form, okay, that you want them to sign. Now, when you're ready to have them sign the listing agreement, right, you're going to go find your exclusive right to sell agreement right here. You're going to fill in, this is all where you agree to the commission amount, how the length of the contract. This is called your listing contract. Okay, you fill this all out and you're going to have them sign it, and see how it knows the two seller names and it knows my name because I'm inside my folder, right? And also, as I mentioned, the form for your property details is still the old one in here, which is perfectly fine to use. You can still use this because it is not a legally required form. It's just sort of a sheet that allows you to collect the data. You can't upload these to Stratus anymore. I'm not sure what the status of that situation is, but you can certainly use this form to fill out your data. By the way, over on Stratus, I'll just go over there real quick. If you go to MLS forms here, all of those forms, the newer forms are going to be here. Okay, so you can fill them out and then put them into your Instanet account there if you want. Okay. All right, before we do the signing, I'm going to check again for questions. Okay, yeah. Moses, the Android shortcut. Oh, good. I hope it worked out for you, Android users, and Moses. I hope that worked out. Anybody who has an Android phone, they don't have an app, but I found a workaround to put the shortcut on your Android phone, and it works exactly the same. Okay. So let's see if there's any, I think I've answered many of these questions. I will show the challenge again, Rhonda. I'll show it at the end. And let's see, Pamela says, I sent 3 documents to be signed all at one time. They signed one form and then it came back, they signed all 3. So they didn't understand that their initials or signature not on forms. How do I send them separately? You can do separate signings. You don't have to put all of it, them in together at the same time. If you think that you're sending it to someone who may be struggling a little bit with the process of digital signing, just maybe somebody who's not as tech savvy, then maybe separate those signatures. Don't give them all the documents to sign in one. And here's the other thing I'm going to say. When you do signings, when you invite your clients to sign forms, ask them not to do it on a phone. It's just too difficult to see what they're doing. Ask them to do it on a computer, tablet maybe, but computer would be the best way. They can see everything they need to see. It's very difficult to do the signings on the phone. Anybody under the age of 40 would have most likely zero problem because they're so tech savvy. But anybody who might be struggling with that, tell them not to do it on a phone. Okay. All right, good. I think we covered most of those questions already. So what we're going to do is we are going to have them sign, right, that agency disclosure form that I've already filled out. Okay, now these three dots over here, you always want to click on them and see what your options are. I can rename it. I can download it. I can edit the form. I can just preview it to make sure that I did, in fact, fill it out correctly, right? Before I do the signing, maybe it's been a couple of days since I filled it out. Just preview it to double check. But now we're going to start a signing. Now you have a couple of options when you start a signing. You can, because I'm in the 56 shelter lane, I can just click on start signing right here. I think that that's probably the best way to do it rather than start from the form itself. I think it just keeps you a little bit straighter and just a little less confusing if you just start the signing from here. But it's perfectly fine if you have a form open to do the signing from there. So I'm going to click on start signing. And I'm going to call this, this is the seller family agency disclosure. And I might put their address, whatever helps you. And I'm going to go to a new signing. Now it's a really quick wizard, the signing process, step 1, step 2, step 3, and step 4. And again, do this for yourself. Set up your house, your own house, with all of the forms filled out. Just pretend that you're selling your house and you're the listing agent, and fill out all of the forms and do the signings. There's no harm. Nothing can happen. Nothing will get hurt. No one will see it. It's in your account, and then you can destroy the whole thing. You can just delete the whole practice transaction when you're done. Okay. So step 1, we can change the name if we want, but I like what I came up with. The simul-sign means first come, first serve. So if Mary opens it first, she can sign it. If John opens it first, he can sign it. I think he was John, maybe it was Joe. So it doesn't matter. But if it's buyers need to sign first and then sellers, you would do this sign in line, okay? So that it would be in a particular order. All right, so I'm just going to do simul-sign. And then there's some advanced things. You can set an expiration date if you don't want this out on the ether for a long time. Maybe I want them, make sure they sign it by Sunday at the latest. They can get reminders. A lot of people say, I never got it, so a reminder could be helpful. So I'm really done with step 1. I like to close it with this minus sign here to clean things up. So now I know I'm done with step 1. Then I'm going to do step 2. Who needs to sign this form? Okay, this is our agency disclosure. So it's in this case just Mary and just Joe. He's Joe's seller, not John's seller. They are both going to be remote signers. Now, if their lawyer wants a copy of it, you could just select her name and give her a CC, or if she needs to review it. I don't know if you guys ever do that, but you could certainly see a copy of what they signed, or you can just email them the lawyer the completed form afterwards. Okay, and Mary and Joe will also have the ability to save a copy of what they signed after they finish signing it. Okay, so they'll have copies of everything. All right, so I'm just going to add Mary and Joe to the signing, and that's done. Right now, if you see some kind of indicator here, like a red exclamation mark, it means something is missing. Maybe the email address was missing, maybe some components were missing, but what I am seeing here means I'm ready to go. Step 2 is complete. So I'm going to minus sign that one and move on to step 3, which is which documents are going to be signed. So I'm going to click the plus sign, and here's where you can choose more than one form. Okay. and also any documents like your company COVID form can be signed. Any documents you've put in can also be signed through a signing. Okay, so we're just doing agency disclosure. So remember what I said, if you have someone who might be challenged by you sending them a whole bunch of things all at once, maybe do them one at a time. Do the agency disclosure first, then do the lead paint, then do the fair housing, etc. All right, so I'm going to click add that one form to this signing. Okay, there it is. All right, if you change your mind, you can always add another document here, but we're done with step 3. And step 4 is just setting up the signature block. So we're going to click on the plus sign. Now the key here is to pay attention to whose name is in the top right here. Mary Seller right now is who I'm working on, but after I'm done with Mary's signing blocks, I would then go over to Joe's signing blocks. Okay, some of your forms are pretty complex, how they have to be set up. Your fair housing one, I'm sorry, your lead paint and where they click the radio buttons and all of that is more complex. So just make sure you're paying good attention here. So this form, there's no signature required on page 1 for Mary, but I'm actually going to open up my options here under drag and drop. I just clicked on it, and I'm going to have her initial right next to seller's agent. Okay, because I really want her to know for sure, maybe even underneath it, so I know for sure, right, that she understands our relationship. Okay, when I set it up, I could even have also highlighted this if I want. I don't think I have. Can I do that now? Let's just see. Oh yeah, I think I can. I can highlight this for her, right? So she knows this is our arrangement. That was under markup. Okay. So when I come down to, let me go back to the drag and drop menu, and she has to sign down here on the bottom. Now it's got this little smart thing in it where it kind of knows that Mary was in as a seller, so she's going to have to sign here. But see how he put Joe over here rather than where I wanted him to sign? Some people go across, some people go down. It's I don't think there's any legal requirement, but I kind of like to actually stagger them so I can see. We'll do Joe in just a minute, but Mary's is all set up. And there are some options here when you do the signing to add the date stamp, the time. It will automatically do that, but you may want to actually see that. Now the signatures, so it put the date stamp right next to it right there, but it does it kind of automatically anyways. I think that's the way my settings are. So actually, I think I might delete this and I'll do Joe and Mary's dates right next to theirs. Okay. Now, so we're done with Mary, and now we're going to go over to Joe. Okay. So now I'm going to go back up to page 1, and I'm going to do an initial here for JS, that's Joe Seller, on page 1 at the seller's agent explanation. Okay. And then he also needs to sign here. This looks good to me. And then I will have his date stamped as well. Now, the really cool thing is when they actually digitally sign this, it gets a serial number and it's certified by the US Postal Service. It's actually a legal signature, but nobody ever picks up a pen. There's no pen involved. Mary and Joe are simply going to open the email from me, click where I tell them to click, and that's considered a signing. Okay, it's been the law since the 90s that people can sign this way. But the cool thing is it gets not only that date and time stamp, but it tells the IP address from the computer where it was signed on. So let's say Joe and Mary Seller, you know, in 6 months, there's this big disagreement suit, and they say, we never signed that, you know, blah, blah, blah. Not only can you show that they signed it, but you can show what computer it was signed from, which most likely was their own computer. So it's really got some good risk management, I think, protections for you. Okay, so that's all really set up. We got Joe and we are pretty much done. So I'm going to just click on next. And you can just hit send invitations, and that will send an email to Mary and an email to Joe, and they will just click start, They will click on their initials, they will click on their name, they will click finish, and it's done. Okay. Now, if you want to give them more instructions, you can customize that invitation if you want. Maybe ask them to call you before they start the signing if you think they're going to really struggle with it. Or tell them that if they need you to come by the house to, or drop them off, obviously, as an option. Okay, so I'm going to click on send invitation. Way more people are getting comfortable with this. Trust me, if my husband can do a digital signing, anyone can do one, and he's done a ton of them now. He's used to it. So I'm going to click on send invitations, and I'll just show you what it looks like in my inbox. You see here, it says your signature is requested. That was the one I did before, agency and fair housing. I tried that before, and that's what it looked like. Okay, I thought I did do the fair housing disclosure. I must have, I don't know what I did wrong there. Okay, so it does show up in your email, in their email. You'll also get a copy of it in your work email. It'll say they've been invited. When they sign it, you'll start to see these icons change. It will tell you that they've authenticated their signature and then they've signed the document. Authenticated and signed. There's 2 steps to the signing. First, they have to authenticate they are who they are and pick a font for their signature. Okay. And then they have to go to the document and sign it. A lot of consumers get stuck here and they hit confirm and they think that means that they've signed the whole thing. So that's where you want to help them through it. If you've tried one of these yourself, you'll be way more helpful to your clients when they get stuck. Okay. So try one yourself. All right. So as we go through the process, as they sign, you'll start to see these things, and then we'll have different versions of the document. The final document will be with both Joe and Mary's signatures on it. Okay. The only legal only copy of the document you need to keep. You do not need to keep paper anymore for your real estate documents if you have it in on a computer, a digital copy of it. You can go 100% paperless. Okay, the attorneys for LIBOR and the New York State Association of Realtors have made that abundantly clear, checked all the possible issues and problems, and you can go paperless. You can keep, as long as you keep this, keep the digital, you don't need to keep the paper copy. Okay, I know that's hard for some of you. So before we go over to the phone and the mobile, I'm going to just check for questions on the signings. Okay, so I'm going to work down. Biagio's asking, how about if the sellers have no emails? You can't do it then. Yeah, you must have an email address. There's no other way to do it. Okay, then help them create maybe a free Gmail email. And okay, let's see. Hey, Jayshree, how are you? How long is this information form picture stay in Instanet? Forever. I just was deleting some things from 2008 in my Instanet account. So there is no limit to length or size that you can keep in your Instanet account. Okay. Let's see. Oh, great question. Danny's asking, how is Instanet compared to DocuSign? Okay, you get stuff from emails from DocuSign all the time. You've already paid for Instanet. Okay, when you paid your LIBOR dues and your MLS, you paid your MLS one key subscriber fee this December, right? That paid for this account, your one key subscriber payment. It paid for this. Now, if you want to go and pay for something else like DocuSign, go for it, right? But this one you've already paid for, you can't get a refund. It's just part of your membership. Now, some of you work in brokerages where they bought you a DocuSign account, okay? And in that case, then they're very similar, okay? You can either use DocuSign or Instanet, whichever works best for you. I frankly, I don't know DocuSign as well, but I think Instanet is a deeper program. I think it's got a lot more functionality. That's just my thought. Okay, let's see. Rhonda's saying we need to put dates on the document since you said we cannot type in. Oh, I'm sorry. when I said you can't date their signature is what I meant to say there, Rhonda. I didn't mean you can't add a date to any form. You just can't date their signatures. Arlene, can we keep the COVID and fair housing form signed for a buyer without a date? So we have, yeah, absolutely. You don't have to put a date on it. And the COVID forms are not on LIBOR. I think NYSAR has those COVID disclosure forms. It's just a standard form. Your broker probably has one also, but I have not seen it on, you could just save it in your documents, okay? Deborah has a great question. My office wants to have a paper copy. Is there a way to print the whole folder? Yeah, you can. Once you get to your, let me get out of this signing. Let me go back to my transaction for Shelter Lane. There's a couple of different things you can do if you need it printed. If you come up here to the menu for that transaction, I know you can archive it. You can, just trying to think of the best way maybe to print. They used to have where you could just package the whole thing together. I think probably the best thing to do would be to archive it, and that will create a PDF, okay? Alrighty, so now we just have a little bit less than 10 minutes to go. So I want to just bring up my phone and show you how everything I just did for you is on the mobile device. Okay, so just give me 1 second to do that. Let's see. Alrighty. Okay, so hopefully you can see my phone. Oopsie. Now I can't see my phone. 1 second. Okay, let me just get this out of the way. All right. Okay, so I have the app for Transaction Desk. If you have an iPhone, you're going to go to the App Store and you're going to search for Transaction Desk, 2 words, Transaction Desk. Okay. And once you find, don't go, this is the advertisement, right? This is an ad. The one you want is called Transaction Desk. It has, it's white with a blue outline of a house. I already have it, so mine can just be opened. If you don't have it, you can click on Get. You will not find this in the Google Play Store. It does not exist. So if you stay with me after I let everybody else go, I will show you how to put it on your Android phones. Okay, so I'm going to click Open. Now, the first time you use it on your phone, you are going to need an activation code. And the activation code, you'll go back to your computer, go to your settings, and look for linked devices. And that's where you're going to get the activation code for the first time you use this. Okay, there's a little video on there for them. There's a video on instanet explaining how to get that transaction code. Okay, so I don't want to stop right now. So this looks pretty much the same as what my computer looked like, doesn't it? I'm on the agent dashboard. All I have is my list of transactions, right? Just a few. I keep whatever I cleaned up on my desktop is also cleaned up on my mobile devices. Okay. The help is down here, right? If you're not sure how to get that activation code, just go to the help there. You'll be able to get it. You can even chat with them and they'll help you. Okay. Actually, I'm not even sure if you don't have the activation code, if this will work. So just go back to your computer if that happens. So what I want to do, let's say I got a call from Denise Lawyer, and she said, can you send me a copy of the agency disclosure that the seller signed? Sure. I'm going to pull my car over to the side of the road. I'm going to open up my instanet. I'm going to open up the transaction. And it's got all my documents. It's got the signing that's in progress, right? They haven't finished signing it, but we'll pretend they have finished signing it. And then all of the forms are here as well. But you can see how much harder it is to really see everything on the phone. Everything is smaller, and I have a big phone. And by the way, if you don't have not gotten yourself a big phone as a realtor, I really encourage it. So I'm going to open up this form, right? This is the signing itself, right? So if it was completed, the completed document would be right here for me to send to Denise, but I'll just send the original document because she hasn't finished, right? So I'm going to select PDF, and then I can just save it to my phone and email it to her. There's other ways to share. I could just go down here to the bottom of my screen, whatever your phone does, go to mail and email it to her, right? There's a couple of other ways you can save forms. Let me just delete the draft here. Okay, so let me go back to transaction desk. Sometimes it's a little slow to open. Not quite sure why. Let's try here. Okay, good. It was the PDF. No, you know what? I did lose transaction desk completely. Okay, I'm reopening. Oh my. Why does this kind of thing always happen when I'm teaching a class? All right, well, I think I at least showed you how you can access this. I'm not quite sure. What I would do is close it completely, everything, and then reopen it and see. There we go. Sometimes that's the answer. So any form that you have completed or that you filled out or whatever, you can email right from the form. That's what I wanted to show you here. It's just a little bit of a hesitation in Instanet right now. Okay. There we go. Patience, patience. All right, so I'm going to open up that transaction again. And if I go to my forms and you want to email that agency disclosure, you can open it up. You can tap on the three dots to preview it as well. But I'll just open the form itself. And in your menu here, this folder is how you're going to share things. So if you tap on the folder from a form, look through this, and this third from the bottom symbol that's your universal symbol for sharing. So you want to email that to Denise. We're just going to send her the agency disclosure. And then I can just put Denise, I can put her information in here. Okay, send it as a link or whatever. So it's very easy to share your documents, right? So if the document is open, go to this folder and go down to the share icon, and that's how you're going to share it. Okay. All righty. So now what I want to do before I let everybody go, Android users stay with me, is I want to bring this challenge back up. Just give me 1 second. To bring up my challenge, which I have to now modify because now we can call it the fair housing form. I'm gonna actually, I'll take that off of here. So you can just send me the agency disclosure form here. Let me just escape and take that off. Whoopsie. Oh, sorry. Hang on 1 second. Okay. Let me share that with you. All righty. Let's see. Give me 1 second. Share my screen. Going back here. I didn't mean to close it. Sorry about that. Here's your challenge. Okay. And I'm going to take off the fair housing form. Okay. So this is what I want you to do as your assignment. Okay. You could, first of all, take a picture of these instructions. Just take a picture of it. And if you get this to me successfully by Friday at 5 p.m., I will choose one winner from that list, from that group that sends me it successfully. And the one winner will get a free tutoring session with me, okay? Free 1 hour tutoring session. So here's what you're gonna do. You're gonna create a transaction for Beth O'Connor, who's selling 123 Main Street in Setauket. Here's my email address, okay? You're gonna add, open, and complete the agency disclosure form. And then you're gonna set up a signing and send it to me for that form. Actually, it says here both forms. Okay, so we'll take that out. That includes the form. Sorry. I'm so sorry that happened. I will not complete the signing because we're just practicing. All right. But if I receive that invitation for the signing from you, you'll be eligible to win the challenge. Okay. So take a picture of this. Try to get this to me by Friday at 5, and that's when I'll go through. I promise you, if you try this, you're going to feel more comfortable. That's the reason I'm doing this challenge, is because I think watching someone do Instanet is not nearly as powerful as doing it yourself. So we want to walk you through. This is being recorded. We have tons of Instanet recordings. If you click on the yellow light bulb on Stratus, you'll find a bunch of recordings for Instanet that both Laureen Zarba and I have done. And you're welcome to email us and I can direct you that. Okay. So I will, right now I'm going to work through with I'm going to check one more time for questions, and then I'm going to let you go, except for my Android users. Okay. Yes. Yeah, Biagio says, do we have an exclusive form for our office? I would have no way of knowing that, Biagio. You would ask your manager maybe if there's special forms for your office that you should be using. Let's see, Nikki says, I had tech issues initially, but does the seller need an app to store their docs? No, it's just a PDF. They can just keep it somewhere on their computer. Like I mentioned before, I really recommend that you do have your clients do their signings on a computer rather than a phone. I think it just goes a lot better. Deleting transactions, Deborah's asking. You have to open it up. You can't delete them from the main dashboard, Deborah. Very frustrating. Open the whole folder, the transaction folder, go to the 3 dots at the top, and delete is one of your options. Okay. Let's see. Oh boy. This is a good point here. Anonymous says, I was using Dotloop paid for by my office, but when I left that office, I had to transfer into another program. Instanet will always be constantly tied with me and not my office. Excellent point. If you are not sure whether or not you're going to spend your entire career in the same office, Instanet allows you to take this information. Now, your signed listing agreements are the property of your broker, but of course, your things that all your contacts and things like that, your notes and other documents and things like that are yours. You will keep the same LIBOR member number if you switch to a different office, so you'll have access. Great suggestion, Anonymous. Thank you. I wish I could thank you by name. Okay. I think I've covered just most of the questions. Do email me if you didn't get your question answered. And I'm happy to help you out with that. Again, you can also reach out to Instanet. So I'm going to stop the share and let you go. And Android users, I'm going to bring my phone back up and show you how to put the shortcut on your phone now. Okay.
So we want to thank you, Beth.
Oh.
Thank you so very much. That was incredibly informative. And remind everyone that you can find this recorded webinar on LIBOR's website, which is lirealtor.com/COVID. And that's where our COVID hub is, along with all of our Wednesday webinars. Scroll all the way to the bottom in a couple of days and you'll see this there. Beth is a LIBOR technology trainer, and we hope to have you in the classroom with us via Zoom real soon. Thank you, Beth.
Oh, you're welcome, Marianne. I forgot to mention, Laureen is teaching Instanet tomorrow. If you go to LI Realtor, I don't know if there are any seats available for tomorrow's class, but we do it quite frequently. So I'm sure there'll be space for you in February if you want to take the Zoom class that we have. Okay. Okay, so my Android users, here's how you're going to get Instanet on your phone. You're going to first open your browser. Now, most likely because you're an Android user, you use Chrome as your browser, correct? So I'm going to open Chrome. However you go to the internet is what I want you to do. Oops, I don't want you to see this because it's, yeah, let me cancel that, go somewhere else. So let's say I That's actually where we're going to start. So it's wherever you go to the internet. Okay, I'll give you a second to open that up. So let's say if you're going to Home Depot, right? It's the place that allows you to visit internet sites, your browser. Okay, once you have your browser open, I want you to go to lirealtor.com. In the address bar at the top, do not search it, just type it where you put a URL, type lirealtor.com, and you'll end up here. Okay. If you have trouble with this, follow up with me after and I can walk you through it on your own, but let me move along here. So you're going to log into Stratus right on your browser here. You're going to tap on Stratus, log in. If you don't know your user ID and password, you may need to do this at another time. Okay. Okay. So I got the Stratus pop-up message, very small. Okay, I don't know what that was. Download is ready. Cancel. Close. Okay, so very hard to see, but we only need to do this once, okay? My Android users, you only have to do this once. I don't know if you ever use Stratus on your phone, but zoom yourself into that menu on the right side with the heading at one key MLS links. And we want to go to Instanet right from here. This way it's going to remember your login, okay? Because you're coming from Stratus. So I'm going to tap on Instanet. Now, what we're doing now, you don't want to have to do it every time. So the key here is going to be for you to create a shortcut on your home screen for transaction desks. So you don't have to do this ever again, what I'm showing you right now. Okay, so now that it opens, okay, so it looks just like the app. It's not the app, but it looks just like the app. But the key here is to add this to your home screen. So on Chrome, it's the three dots that you're looking for. Your three dots, depending on your phone, may be up here or down here. You're looking for add to home screen. So I'm going to do the three dots and let's see if I have the option to add it to home screen. I don't, you might, but I'm going to just bookmark it. And then later on, I can add it from the bookmarks, I can add it. But if you see add to home screen in this menu, that's essentially really what you're looking for. Okay. So I'm going to tap bookmark and I'm going to tap done. And then just whatever you do in your phone to when you create your bookmarks, let me just see if this is another option to add to home screen. Sometimes if you tap on this option up here, the box with the arrow, add to home screen on some phones might show up under more here. Let's just see now. Or it might show up down here where I can edit the bookmark. But that's essentially what you're looking for is add to home screen so that you will have the same icon I was showing you before. You'll have an icon that looks like that right on your home screen. So if you have any difficulty with this, just give us a shout out. Email me, boconnor@lirealtor.com. I'm going to check one last time for questions just on that from my Android users. Good, 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 good. I'm so glad. Everybody's saying they're getting it on their phones. I'm so happy. Jayshree, by Friday, just the agency disclosure form. Okay, that's the only one I'm asking for on this. All right, for the challenge, just the agency disclosure. I'm sorry I confused everybody with that. It's in the instructions. Just read that. I edited the instructions for you. Maybe I'll email everybody afterwards. So, all right. So I'm going to let you go. Sorry we ran over, and hope everybody enjoys Instanet. I hope you use it, and I hope that you will reach out to us if you need help. So have a great day, everyone.